get started. We have a bunch of events coming up. We have a September 21st Beacon Council event. South Florida hitting a hidden gem for alternative investments. We have some really good people presenting. We have Stephen Malloy at ISAM. He's going to be there, as well as Eric Westphal from Dormouse, both members of our nonprofit 501c6 called the Florida Alternative Investment Association. I'll be there, as well as others in the South Florida Hedge Fund alternative investment community. We look forward to seeing you there. If you don't check us out on Twitter, please do so at Outsized Return. We publish a lot of really interesting stuff and keep our eyes on a lot of global macroeconomic indicators. This morning, as you can tell, S&P futures are down 12 handles. The bond market here is getting ravaged. It seems to all be on the back of the ECB's reluctance to increase stimulus yesterday. Yields on 10-year U.S. Treasury are much higher on the week. Let's take a look at our normal routine, which is taking a look at commodities. Crude oil is down over 1.5%. Natty gas is slightly down, down 0.14%. Gold is flat on the day at $13.37. It was down a little bit more earlier. It looks like it may even go positive as we're talking here. So coffee is down 0.5%. Dr. Cop is flat. Dr. Cop is trading slightly above its lows. You know, they call it Dr. Cop because it has a PhD in macroeconomics and forecasts the business cycle extremely well. Dr. Copper is not buying into this recovery here. Let's take a look at European equities and what's going on in Europe this morning. We see European equities down 0.4% to 0.9% in Switzerland. It looks like things are getting hit pretty hard, and not exactly sure, you know, why, with the exception of, you know, the fact that the bond market is selling off and investors are becoming reluctant. You know, how things have been trading with regards to negative interest rates and extremely low yields. Japan finished pretty much flat last night, and the Shanghai Composite in China finished down a little over 0.5%. But really, I think the interesting thing here is to look at government bonds. Sovereign bond yields all over the world are higher this morning, and there's no exceptions. If you look at the 10-year U.S. Treasury, which I'm going to pull up right now, you see the prices have fallen pretty nicely, and you know, from a yield perspective, yields have gone you know, higher. I'm going to take a look at a 5-day chart just so you can put this into context here on a price basis. You see the prices are, you know, so this all started when the ECB announced yesterday that they're not going to increase, you know, stimulus plans, and investors have been counting on central banks for quantitative easing to, you know, suppress global yields and suck the volatility out of markets. So it seems like that has stopped for a little bit. Just want to take a look right now at currency and the dollar index. This is the dollar versus a basket of currencies. You see here that the dollar it's weaker on the week, but it's actually getting a little stronger on the day. It's up on the day. So this right here is the day. This right here is a 5-day chart. So the dollar's getting a slight little bounce. But if you look over the last 2 months, the dollar has failed the 200-day moving average twice in the last 30 days. And it's trading below the 100-day moving average. we tend to believe that the direction of the dollar is going to determine the direction of all asset classes. And if the dollar weakens, it should be supportive for asset prices. If the dollar gains too much strength, it'll crimp corporate profits. It'll cut into the commodity market, and it won't be good for for valuations in the near term, at least. With that said, let's move on to some top news. Top news: bond stock slide deepens as stimulus outlook wanes. That's what we were talking about earlier. Cracks are appearing in the bond market. That's evident in the yields. The yields have been, they're much higher on the week. Deutsche Bank is close to a mortgage settlement. Not sure why it would be surging on that, but I guess investors are happy with some of the clarity. Bad piece of news out is North Korea continues their defiance and tests another nuclear reaction, and they're saying at this point that they can put together a nuclear bomb and on missiles, and they've been successful at it. This is not a good situation. It's important that this morning China, Japan, and South Korea condemned what they're up to, but they're making more and more progress towards a really, really bad situation. And we've been looking at this for over 10 years, and I don't like the direction that it's progressing, and I don't know what the solution is, but I think it's going to come to a head. It's getting more and more obvious that we need to deal with it from a societal perspective, and hopefully we'll have the full cooperation of the world in dealing with it head on, because it's not a good situation. It's not a situation that we can ignore any longer. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And anyway, moving along to economics, and today's a light day on data. However, wholesale inventories are important, especially when looking at GDP figures. So at 10 o'clock, we should have a little bit more insight into the inventories and whether or not it's going to be a drag or a boost for GDP. So we hope to see you at our September 21st event. It's going to be a fantastic one. Florida is definitely the leading center for alternative investments that we envisioned over 10 years back, and it's attracting relocations from all over the world, especially key hedge fund meccas, relocations, businesses up there that are opening offices in our local community. It's also has a lot of Florida has a lot of new hedge fund launches. The infrastructure providers are relocating to our region, and we're going to talk about not only Florida and how great it is, but some of the interesting things we have planned to keep attracting new talent, so that these firms can grow and flourish. So with that, I hope you have a great day of investing and a very nice weekend. Look forward to for you tuning in next week. Bye now.